Hello Internet, and welcome back to another blockchain vlog. In this episode, we'll be touching on Winklevoss ETF denied by the SEC. People's Bank of China continues a withdrawal freeze. Dash, Ethereum, and Bitcoin holding strong in the top 3 spots. New Hampshire's Bitcoin MSB exemption clears first vote, and Ethereum Name Service launches with an asterisk. The first thing I want to talk about today is, of course, the Bitcoin ETF that the Winklevoss twins had put out. These are the same guys behind the Gemini exchange and Facebook, of course. But yeah, so the SEC went ahead and denied this after a 3-year-long wait. People were not sure which way it would go, very 50-50 feeling in the community whether or not this was positive or negative. But yeah, it's not happening, and the Bitcoin price dropped real quick and has more or less since recovered. So I think in whole Bitcoin community simply just does not care whether or not this is regulated by the SEC. And while some people could get involved in the ETF maybe a bit more easily, they wouldn't actually be token holders. So you're only kind of tangentially related to the system and you're not really bought in. There's also the additional problem of what happens in terms of guarantees about the market being backed by exactly the amount of assets that are there. We're seeing this problem in gold and silver, precious metals, and other asset classes at the moment. And yeah, I think in the end, it's pretty easy to use Coinbase if you're in the United States, and there's other services expanding worldwide. So Bitcoin's still at an early stage according to the commission. They're not happy with how regulated it is right now, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem because, how can it be regulated if regulators don't want to regulate it? So maybe that's not the end all be all for Bitcoin, but here we are now. Prices across the board have been up since the announcement on Friday. Over the weekend, normally a pretty low period and in terms of trading activity, but this weekend was quite exciting to watch. Next, let's go ahead and talk about China. So we just got a little bit of news. People's Bank of China, still the exchanges there are frozen up. They're not allowing withdrawals. BTCC, Huobi, and OKCoin announced they've completed the upgrades requested by PBOC, but the local experts think a decision may be delayed until a bit later. Looking for March 15th or so for some more news. Right now, Bitcoin exchanges Bitcoin withdrawals have been suspended since the 9th of February, and we don't have any more about exactly when that will continue. Additionally, in the news, South Korean province are starting to use blockchain for voting. So one of the most popular provinces, I am not even going to try and pronounce the name of this thing. They're using a blockchain-based voting system to vote for local community projects, right? So things that residents are proposing, people can vote on and kind of sidestep the whole bureaucratic red tape, I think, and self-organize, which is a great property of blockchain, something I've talked about a lot. So right now it includes about 9,000 residents who did votes on and offline. It was developed by a South Korean startup called Blocko, and they're using blockchain technology to save costs, especially relating to maintaining the central management agency and the time to collect votes, right? Blockchain technology allows for automation, a lot of that. So this helps them save some money in the process. Great to see them experimenting with this real world application, because that's what we need to get more people brought into the blockchain fold. So yeah, that's all on that. What else do we have? Ethereum Name Service. Yeah, I want to definitely talk about this. So Ethereum Name Service is launched, and I wrote a little article, hopefully will be launched today or this week for Bitcoin Magazine. Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, my thoughts on Ethereum Name Service and how this starts to help us re-decentralize the web. Right, so the web is kind of broken, the internet's kind of broken in a lot of ways because it's based on old technology, and we have to start figuring out ways to improve it, and I think that blockchain will play a role in this. Right now, Ethereum is, of course, an app platform built on blockchain, so why not build other components that can be plugged into each other, right? And that's exactly what they're trying to do with ENS, is give a name coin or a one name kind of service, right, with the standard domain name delegation and zone aspects, right? So kind of works within the existing framework. Go ahead and put that on Ethereum so people can start using that and building out their address books locally. We can start tying it into UPort identity. We can start building reputation systems so that if you have an interaction on eBay or Amazon, that should be transportable to Uber or Lyft or some other service. Of course, this will all need to be on blockchain, so it kind of just plugs and plays. But I'm really excited about ENS launch. There's already lots of activity, and the asterisk I talked about in the intro has to do with some bugs they found in the contract. So of course, it didn't get a lot of reviews until it went public. Finally, now it's public and people are taking a look at it. They found some bugs. Fortunately, the team had learned from the DAO incident last year, and they have a much more flexible system for upgrading the contracts. So that issue seems to be mitigated. The good news is they weren't taking bids on auctions yet. They were only allowing for the auction to be opened. You could work around this if you didn't use the graphical interface, if you tried to interact with the contract directly on the back end. If that's the case, there's a way to go ahead and recover those bids. But for the time being, bids are frozen, auctions are kind of frozen, and we're just kind of keeping an eye on that system for when it will relaunch. They were shooting for Pi Day today, which would have been 1 year from Homestead launch, so kind of this more stable release of Ethereum. But this is really exciting stuff. There are already existing projects in the space for name resolution, but this is the first major one for Ethereum. So we'll start to see what happens here. There does appear to be buy-in from a lot of different organizations who could benefit from a shared lookup system, right? So this is really great. Let's see if we got anything else to touch on. So New Hampshire, yeah, one last thing. New Hampshire's Bitcoin money service broker exemption clears the first vote. So the lawmakers there have proposed a law that would exempt Bitcoin traders in the state from the money transmission requirements. It's similar to the regulation that Illinois recently outlaid, and I talked about a few episodes. I'll go ahead and link to that in the description below. So right now it's just past part of the state Congress right now. It's moved to the Senate, where they're going to consider it more. They're basically trying to exempt virtual currency users from having to register as MSBs, and also in tow create a formal definition for virtual currency. So if you are conducting business using transactions conducted in whole or in part in virtual currency, this would apply to you. And this is, of course, in stark contrast to the travesty of BitLicense in New York, which added just extra layers of complexity and costs to the whole thing. So good on New Hampshire. They are joining a handful of other states that are getting actual blockchain laws on the books, or at least try to formalize what is virtual currency and how does it impact money transmission laws. How might it improve our government? These are all super wonderful things that we need to look forward to more and try to push further in our local governments. So that's it. I want to thank you for watching once again here in my backyard. Links to more information will be posted down below in the description. Please tell us what you think in the comments below. I'm always trying to improve these videos. If you liked it, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe for more updates. And go ahead and share with family and friends to make crypto great again.